Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Health is Wealth podcast. This is episode 19. So, yeah, we're stacking these up. So, in this episode, we want to discuss motivation. Summer's round it's just about here, summer's here, and it's usually a time when people's motivation tends to dip. So, we wanted, like I say, the summer's just about here. More social events, more travel, graduations, vacations, children off, etc. And it's usually a time when you're going to be even more busier and motivation will likely take a downturn. But it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. There's ways around it because like with us in evidence-based coaching throughout the program, we have phases, some phases are for performance, some for fat loss, some for like maintenance, resilience, etc. For the people that want to lose weight, we're having diet breaks and things like that. But when life gets crazy and it's all about running on what I call minimum effective, like routine sort of thing. So, like, even when traveling, you're not going to be able to get your full workout in. So, there's nothing wrong having short, effective workouts in there. Speak to your coaches, speak to your coach, and if you need something in there, we can get it in. We need to keep the momentum going because once you lose that momentum, once that momentum wears off, this is when it's so hard to get back into it, And it's not that you're on a diet or anything. The way we program here at Evidence-Based Coaching, this is why we track calories, for flexibility. You can have more flexibility by knowing how many calories you're having, where, yeah, we can give you a meal plan, but meal plans don't work for our clients as such. The majority of our clients are executives. And like I say, they're traveling a lot, etc. They're dining out, they're entertaining people, they're getting entertained by clients. And so we need to have systems in place that's going to keep things moving. So I'll start with John. John, how do you get through it? Obviously you've been a client at evidence-based coaching, you're a coach now. And how did you find the summer months when, the barbecues and the pool parties and things?
So a couple of things that I had to really wrap my head around was that, I mean, the reality of it is that seasonal disruption is very predictable. So every year, I would say a hot time in the United States, for instance, would be between Memorial Day and July 4th. And it's not a surprise. Kids graduate, friends have parties, people have barbecues. If I went to a barbecue last Saturday, it was probably the same barbecue that I've been going to for the last 10 years with the same friends, right? So we tell these stories to ourselves and say, this is disruption, this is chaos, but it's actually the same thing we do every single year, right? So for me, I think not allowing myself a free pass to actually think like this is chaos, it's actually quite predictable, right? So and if I can continue to remind myself of that and approach these events in a very predictable manner. First 15 minutes, I go talk to my buddy that I've known for 5 years over here. And I usually hang out at where the grill is, and I grab myself a hot dog. And then I go over here and grab myself one of the salads that somebody's made, potato salad, macaroni salad, all that stuff. But if I can actually say, okay, well, stop right there. Like, I know what I'm going to do. Right. So let's make a plan for that. And then the other side of it is that emotional reasoning is the trap. And like the biggest threat to my consistency is this idea that there isn't a schedule. And it's really just the story that I'm trying to tell myself that there's no schedule. There's actually a schedule. There's actually a very ingrained schedule. in all of our summer plans. Like vacations just don't happen, like last minute. People plan for them, so why not plan for what you're going to eat in that period of time? So for me, like falling into this trap of like, oh, it's chaos. It's actually not chaos at all, right? It's kids get out of school at the same time every year. We go on the same vacations every year. We have a very predictable life, right? And so instead of calling it chaos, reminding myself this isn't chaos at all. It would be one of my strategies, and to be able to plan for that schedule.
Excellent. And Greg, what about yourself? How how do you navigate it? You've got family, etc.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I do is actually very similar to what John just talked about, right? I think a lot of it just boils down to being intentional, right? And it's like there's a lot of things in our lives that like we don't have control over, right? But there are a bunch of things that we do have control over. And so focusing on the things that we can control, like, is what I tried to do, right? So that, to John's point, like we, can't necessarily control how other people are behaving, or we can't necessarily control, like what other people are doing at these events and, that kind of stuff. But like we can be intentional about having a plan about how we want to approach stuff and like how we want to still prioritize our own goals, kind of within that. And, you know, the I don't know that like this time of year is that dissimilar from like the winter holidays, right? In the sense that there's the same period of time, between Halloween and, New Year's, loosely speaking, where you have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, you have, Christmas, or you have Hanukkah, or you have other, kind of events there. You have New Year's Eve, parties. You have, people watching the Super Bowl and like Super Bowl parties. You have, college football games if you're into college football, right? So, like at any point during the year, there's always this, pull, I think, towards sort of saying like, well, this is just this anomalistic, period of time, right? And even in the business world, like to John's point, like things going in cycles and all of that, like to the extent that you like work in an industry that has like a bunch of trade shows and that kind of stuff, like there's going to be certain periods of the year where it's like, well, it's conference season or it's like event season or it's that kind of stuff. And if you're perpetually in like one of those seasons and you sort of say, well, there's nothing I can do about it, then inevitably, like you're always going to be at the control or at the whim of what else is going on in the world, if you will, as opposed to saying, you know what, like I'm still a person who can act as opposed to being acted upon. And as part of that, like I can make some choices and I can like plan ahead. And is there a certain degree of difficulty with that? Yes. Like, is there a certain degree of, potentially being at an event or a party and like everyone else is like having a bunch of drinks and they're having a bunch of food and there's like all this kind of stuff and maybe you feel like you can't, you know, um, eat or drink as much as like everyone else is doing by comparison? Like, yeah, I think that is a reality right now. If there are one or two events where you want to do that, similar to the winter holidays, you can plan ahead, right? And you can, sort of say, well, I'll be a little lower, in the rest of the week, and then I'll, so therefore I have this budget of calories that I can use at this event. But again, it just kind of goes back to being intentional. I would also say that at least for me, what I try to do, at least these days, is just like basically say, you know, my fitness and my health and the way that I eat and things like that is not just I'm doing this for this period of time and then I'm going to stop because all I wanted to do was hit a certain number on the scale. It's like, no, this is just now a part of who I am. And like being healthy and being fit and doing stuff, that's just like part of my identity, if you will. And so therefore, I want to be able to sustain it for a long period of time. And the reason why I want to sustain it for a long period of time is because I want to age gracefully. I want to like be able to spend time with my family, with potential grandkids down the line. I want to like be able to do cool stuff. And, and so therefore I'm going to be intentional about that as well, right? And so just kind of also reminding myself about, well, what are those motivations and stuff? And then as part of that, saying, you know what, like, let me also look for, it is the summer months, right? So it's like if there is the pool party, here's the opportunity to like show off, all the great progress that I've made and,
Yeah,
have that be like the payoff,
I
right?
like that.
And like that kind of thing, right? Or, hey, it's the summer months and the kids are out of school. And so maybe we have a little bit more flexibility to go on a hike or to go do these like outdoor activities as opposed to just being at home, right? Like, so there's opportunities, I would say, within the chaos as well, like as long as you're intentional about it.
Yeah, no, I think like with a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this myself in the past. When motivation is low, when it does dip, like I remember going back a while back. I used to always think like, well, what's the point in this? But we need to like flip our mindset. We need to flip it around and shift the focus into who you want to become. You know, what kind of person are you? Are you a person who who looks after the body no matter what? Even when life's busy, you move, you fuel well, you sleep well. To become a high performer, you've got to get through this. And this is what separates the successful ones to the ones that are lagging back. And I'm not saying anyone is lagging back, but I'm just talking in general sort of thing, you know? Um, Obviously myself and, being a coach myself, there's times when I'm not motivated. I mean, a lot of people are motivated in January. They're ready, new year, new me. I'm the other way around. January, I'm like, gloomy, it's miserable outside, dark nights. I tend to go the other way. You know, when summer comes, when I know summer's on its way, I want to look good and feel good. I want to feel good with my top off. I want people to, I'm not being vain here, but I want people to look at me and think, wow, he works out. He's looking after his
Mhm.
health. And because people do respect that. I know when I look at people and see it, I respect it. I respect them for it because I know they've worked hard to get to where they want to be. So what about you guys? Last one, last one. Let's keep these podcasts nice and short, easy listening. People can listen to on the walk, a 20-minute walk.
Yeah, so I think just hearing the guys talk as well about the struggles and stuff, but there's definitely direct correlation every year with the common themes, whether that be Memorial Day, whether that be Super Bowl. So if you can look at that from a planning perspective, but even just take it week on week and see what's coming up on that given week, and then reverse engineer, save a couple of calories on that for that given day. But from a motivation standpoint, to answer your question. Something that worked really well for me, and I think it's understanding we all just peaks and valleys, and we all go through stages of not feeling motivated. From a client listening to this, to not put us on a pedestal and think that we don't struggle sometimes with our own motivation. We all do. It's human. But I think it's not relying on our feelings, to dictate our actions and still doing it regardless. But something that works really well for me is reflecting on how far I've come. I think when you're in a group like this, we normalize our norms very, very quickly and we celebrate the wins and straight away what's next? I've lost 20 pounds. Congratulations, right? I'm gonna go for 30. But to recognize and appreciate how good you've done up until this point. So, for anyone now struggling with the motivation, have a look back at where your starting point was and compare that to now and see you're a completely different animal. You're a completely different person. And that, in itself can inspire yourself on your own journey to keep pushing on. So if you haven't yet done that, you haven't done it in a few months, reflect back, see how far you've come, and give yourself a bit of appreciation. Sometimes we need tapping the back. Other times we need kick the arse, you know. But for now, check it and see how far you've come, and you know you might find yourself giving yourself a bit more appreciation.
Excellent. Yeah, I like that, guys. Yeah, brilliant. So, guys, you know, I hope you take something away from this, because at the end of the day, we're a community here. As you can, you know, there's plenty of guys in this group. You're not alone. You know, there's others. At this point, the group's pretty quiet at the moment, so we've thought this would be a good podcast to cover, a good subject to cover on this podcast. So if you're feeling like motivation is dipping, if you're feeling a bit like out of sorts with yourself, then just reach out. You know, this is what we're here for. We're here to help you get through it. And yeah, John, anything to say? Anyone else? Anything to finish this off?
Just to kind of piggyback off what Greg said, you know, like there's always a reason, right? We talk about seasonality and, you know, you have, let's say 2.5 months in the summertime. Let's say you got 10 weeks in the summertime where you say, F it, right? Like it's, what's the point? I'm at a barbecue every weekend. I'm at the beach. I'm on vacations. The kids are out of school, you know, whatever it is. And the same exact thing happens in November, right? Like in the, you know, again, I'm focused on the States, but like, you know, November, December, January, then, you know, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, pretty soon you have 5 months of your year that you have an excuse not to be consistent. Oh, by the way, there's the Super Bowl, and then there's Halloween, and then there's Labor Day weekend, and we had all this stuff, right? You can in the blink of an eye, you know, cancel out 6 months of your year and just say the hell with it, you know. And when these are events that we can plan around, and I love that Greg said, you know, it's about identity. It's, you know, are you trying to be a healthy person, or are you now a healthy person? Are you someone who wants to be an athlete, or now are you an athlete? And, you know, to make it a part of your identity is to, you know, not, you know, take away that difference between is fun 10 beers and 5 slices of cheesecake or 5 cheeseburgers, or, you know, it is fun getting the opportunity to be my best self, you know, in front of people and for my family and for my friends, and you know, live the healthiest life possible. So, anyway,
Excellent. Thanks, Sean. Greg, anything else to finish off? Or
No, I think, I mean,
no?
maybe just actually one more thought is just whether it's this time of year or other times of year, there are going to be periods where motivation dips for various reasons, but we can still get the job done, right? Like there's plenty of days that like I don't like today, I don't feel like motivated like at all at the moment. But when we get done with this, like I'm gonna go work out, right?
Yeah,
And it's just
it's
like
doing
that.
it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that consistency and the discipline and, you know, just having the mindset of saying, you know, I'm gonna go get this thing done, you know, regardless of, you know, what the circumstances are. Like to the extent that you can do that in this aspect of your life, like you can do that at work. You can do that within your family. Like there's carryover across these things. And so like it's not just that you're compartmentalizing what you're doing here and, you know, somehow believing that like, well, if I can't be disciplined like with my health, but I can be disciplined over here. I mean, like where are the priorities then? I mean, like, so just like have an honest conversation with yourself about like, you know, sort of what's going on there. But I think my main point is just that like motivation, no matter what time of year, is going to ebb and flow and things like that. But the consistency and the discipline, like, is still what's going to carry you through to those results, right? That you want to get to. Um, and that can make a big difference in your life. And it's also an opportunity to set an example for like the people around you as well, right? And so like don't underestimate, you know, the kind of impact that you can have, you know, like on other people, right? I've actually talked to a couple of different people recently who have lost a bunch of weight. I'm like, hey, this is awesome. And they're like, actually, like, you were the one who motivated me to do this. Like, I just, like, without us even having a conversation, like, I've seen, like, what you've been able to do, and, like, the fact that you seem healthier and, stronger and all that. And, like, I wanted that for myself, right? So it's like, just think about the impact that you can have as well on, like, your kids and, like, the people around you and all of that. And so to the extent that you model certain behaviors, even in the midst of chaos and graduation parties and all the rest of it, like, don't underestimate, like, what that can do for, like, the lives of people around you as well.
Somebody's always watching, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Gary, all good?
Yeah, all good. Just I think a key takeaway point is kind of remembering why you started can be very powerful.
Yeah. Reverting back to that why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. And guys, thanks for your time. If you have got any questions or if ever you need anything covered on this podcast, please just let us know and we will get it covered. Cheers, guys.